Hey everybody, this is Claire, and this is Small Joyful Things. As always, I go to thrift stores or estate sales, or sometimes I buy things from Craigslist, and I'm always trying to find things that I find interesting or I think you might find interesting. Then I bring them home, try and find out as much as I can about them, and then tell you guys about them. So here's what I've got today. I have a chicken, a hen actually. What I have here is a nesting hen on the little base. It is milk glass. It is in perfect condition. I was careful to run my hands all around the edge to kind of touch it everywhere to make sure it's not chipped or cracked or anything. And it's pressed glass, you can see. Very nice quality. And then we have the base. A little bit there, you can see a little kind of variation in the color of the glass. Once again, I checked, no chips or cracks. And in this case, this color is just painted on, or flashed on. It's not like, I say it's painted, like it's not actually colored into the glass. It is in lovely condition because there's no paint loss or anything. And happily enough, we have a mark that says Avon. And we'll get to that in a minute. So first thing to do, measure it up. It is 5.5 inches across, or 5.5 inches long, 4.5 inches across. And then if I pop the lid back on, and I'm gonna eyeball that and say it's about 4.5 inches high. And that's to the top of the hen's head. I'm afraid it's actually been quite difficult the last few days to actually do any videos at all, because actually for two reasons. I got my second shot of the COVID-19 vaccine, and that basically took me out of commission for about a day. You know, if you're really interested in my experience, I talked a little bit about it on Twitter. Basically, I just felt incredibly sore and tired for a solid day over the weekend. Can't really recommend it, but it's still necessary. But anyway, it's basically done. And the other problem that we're having here in Vancouver anyway is all of British Columbia is going through a heat wave, and I don't know if I want to sweat onto my camera. It's just been difficult to do basically much of anything over the weekend. The heat, just especially if you're not used to it, it makes it really difficult to really kind of do much. You just don't really want to move. But I still managed to get out and get to a few thrift stores. I picked up some good stuff, and well, I'm hopefully back to doing videos now. So here's the first thing we got, our lovely little hen. Now, if you're in thrift stores a lot, you probably know Avon, right? But to be honest, everybody who doesn't spend a lot of time in thrift stores, they know Avon from like the door-to-door, perfume company. They're not so much for the glassware. To be honest, it was news to me as well. When I actually first heard the name of Avon or whatever, especially when I picked it up actually in thrift stores, I saw some of their pieces. I was like, Avon, don't they make perfume? What's this deal? But anyway, we have a bunch of nice information about this. So I'm just gonna grab this. And now this is actually specifically for the bottles, but it'll give you generally, this is some interesting information about Avon, the company, which is kind of what I wanted. It was actually started in 1886. David H. McConnell, a book salesman, began giving away small vials of perfume to customers in an attempt to increase interest and sales of his books. It basically started as freebies. And then he started to actually sell the perfumes in the bottles. And essentially a little bit of the history here, it got into like where the actual door-to-door, where the door-to-door thing actually happened. And then a little bit more about like actually where the glass side of it comes from. Basically, Avon is kind of known for their decorative bottles, as in they produce all of these cosmetic wares, but they actually supply them in these decorative bottles, and that's why obviously they're here on glassbottlemarks.com, because obviously they're interested in they document the bottles of any kind of glass bottle. It doesn't necessarily matter who made it, just as long as it's a glass bottle. But anyway, what we've got here, so it originally started as the California Perfume Company, and eventually, because it had one particular perfume called Avon, everyone was asking for that, and that became like the name of the company from that point. He basically just changed the name because that proved to be the most popular thing. So the one thing that I was most interested in is kind of when did the company kind of stop. The heyday apparently was the 1970s, 1980s, and Yeah, no, I've checked, I had a quick read through this and I still could not find it at all. This, by the way, is what I see most often. This is the Cape Cod, the red glass Cape Cod pattern. I have seen some pieces of this in thrift stores before. I generally don't pick it up because the stuff is just not really, like, it's common. And if you know what I mean, you'll recognize it if you see it because it's a very distinctive pattern. It's just not very, like, nobody seems to collect it or really want it. Now, their bottles, to be honest, I find a lot more interesting. Like you can see, if I scroll up a bit, here's obviously the Cape Cod pattern that they're most well known for, and they did an entire dinnerware set, but these little bottles here, especially the pressed glass, slag glass, like the marbling kind of a glass or whatever, in these lovely kind of decorative bottles that would have had perfume or cream or whatever in them. I could never actually quite tell. I've seen these bottles, like one or two of them. Usually, unfortunately, they're damaged. I quite like the look of them and I definitely would like one. But I know that there's no market for it. It would literally just be for my own interest to kind of hold it and kind of do a video about it and actually have, you know, get the experience of having it and showing it on camera. Like I definitely found them interesting, and I've seen others in different forms, and I've seen ones done in milk glass and I think in cream, and they're generally quite nice. And they usually have the same thing. They have these lovely kind of stoppers. Like if you can imagine, I think there's one that I saw which was essentially the body of a woman, and the stopper was her head. You know, all very kind of mid-century kind of like fancy, if you want to call it that. So where does the hen come from? Because if you actually see glass hens, they're usually like something to do with the kitchen. They'll be like, used for storage or whatever in the kitchen, or, they're much bigger than this as well. And this was a little bit of a mystery, trying to figure out, like, what the hell is the deal with the hen? It's too small, to be honest, to kind of, it's smaller than the pictures of any of other hens that I've seen. I don't think I've seen one that's kind of they're usually a little bit bigger. And they're not actually in this, they're usually just one color. I can't remember offhand, like what manufacturer actually does the other hens. I'm sure it'll come back to me at some point. Lost it. But anyway, what do we know about this one? So the first thing that we know is that animals and figurines was something that Avon did definitely do. And you can see here the width is 5.5 inches, height is 4 3/4. So obviously I was eyeballing it wrong. So they did have a series of like animals and figurines, and one of them was the milk glass hen and the nest, but there's no further information here anyway on replacements.com. Not good for us, unfortunately. But what I did find was this. Avon, 1973 nesting hen soap dish with 4 yellow egg soaps. And this is exactly what we want, because there's the picture of its original box. That is fantastic. We now know exactly what it is. We know exactly when it was from and what it even came with. This is a soap dish. And there's the cosmetics angle. It's a soap dish. It would have come with little eggs. You put your soap in here and then covered. I don't actually know why they would have covered it as well. It's like, it seems like a really odd choice. And definitely the hen thing is a bit strange, but yeah, it's kind of a fun, it's kind of, I guess that's it, it's kind of this like fun little figural kind of a thing that they kind of did. That was their thing, making these like nice glass containers for their cosmetics. Really nice. Oh, sorry, I actually keep having to wipe my face because I'm actually sweating so much. The temperature here isn't actually even that high. I'm just Irish and not used to this kind of weather. Or rain I can be in all the time, no issues at all. Okay, so actually getting away from all that, what is this actually worth? Careful with the camera. Right, I did actually go look it up. Right, there are plenty of listings and comparable listings for it. It is usually on sale for about $15, $16, maybe up to $20 US. No more than that, really. As far as I can tell, Avon is not widely collected. I would say it's possible that the Cape Cod pattern might be widely collected, but there is so much of it, and it's very, very cheap. It doesn't really sell for a whole lot. It's kind of a generic. I don't think maybe the dark red maybe doesn't appeal to millennial collectors. Not entirely sure. But anyway, I did take a look at the hens. About $20 US is the most you'll get. You can probably sell it for much on the cheaper side. I would say probably $10 realistically is going to be a better kind of comparable price. As for this one, I bought it for $6 Canadian. I'm probably going to put it up on Etsy for, I don't know, like maybe I'll put it up for whatever, you know, maybe $10 plus the cost to ship it, and then call it a day. And it is, for what it is, it's still in incredibly good condition. So I'm sure that if someone kind of wants a, I have to say, a rather unusual soap dish, at least we know what it is, and we can tell them, and it's like, here you go. Here is a chicken soap dish. If you're going with a chicken theme in your bathroom, this will, or maybe even a farmyard theme, who knows, this will definitely suit you. So here you go. This is my small joyful thing for the day. I hope you guys like it as well, and I hope if you're watching from Vancouver that you are staying cool as well. Thank you. Bye bye.